Yo guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So I had a special request to test out the 3DMARK benchmark with my newly acquired MSI Suprim RTX 5080 graphics card. And we're running a Ryzen 7 900X 3D CPU with a negative 20 PBO offset. And for RAM, I'm running G.Skill 32 gigabytes of CL32 memory, running at 6400 mega transfers. And for motherboard, I'm running a X670 Tomahawk Wi-Fi motherboard. And for cooling the CPU, I'm running a Corsair H170 Lite LCD, which has a 420mm radiator. And powering all this is a Seasonic 1300 watt platinum rated power supply with a dedicated Seasonic 16-pin power cable. And it is in a Corsair Obsidian 1000D Super Tower case, which I will have closed during the benchmark. Okay, for GPU-Z, these are going to be my overclock settings. So I got the power limit raised to 111%, core clock an additional 370 megahertz, and memory an additional 2000 megahertz. Fan, I'm just going to leave it auto. And these are the GPU statistics of the MSI Surprim RTX 5080 with the overclock. And then for the CPU, the Ryzen 7 900X 3D CPU with, like I said, a negative 20 performance boost overdrive offset and 30 gigabytes G.Skill memory. And yeah, so that's it. So I will show you the benchmark screen, and then we'll get started with Time Spy, and then we'll run Port Royal, followed by Steel Nomad, and then Speedway. So we're going to test all those different benchmarks, and during the benchmark, I will show briefly like the temperatures of everything, how everything's running, and we'll follow through with that. So we're going to start off with Time Spy, like I said. So let me go ahead and get this started, and then once we get loaded up here, I'll continue the video. Okay, we're loading up Time Spy here. Core clock of 3240 megahertz for the MSI Surprim RTX 5080 graphics card. And I'll tell you, in terms of coil whine, this card is dead silent. I never heard any coil whine in any gaming situations or high FPS load. Very quiet overall. Like I said, during the whole benchmark, we will have the case closed. Fan just sitting at 30%, pulling about 320 watts, 99% GPU utilization, and memory sitting at 1700 megahertz, which is a 2000 megahertz overclock. I didn't reset the MSI Afterburner overlay, so this is a 0 FPS, 1% low, so I'm not going to touch it because it's going to affect the benchmark. But as we progress through the benchmark, we will show you the score at the end. So stay tuned. Okay, we're finishing up the second graphics benchmark test. Currently sitting at 3200 megahertz, or 3217, pulling 330 watts. Fan is chilling at 40%. And the Ryzen 7 900X 3D CPU is just chilling along at 50 degrees Celsius with 45% utilization. And the card is dead silent. No issues with coil whine, very quiet overall. So the last test will be the CPU benchmark. Alright, loading in the CPU test. I like to show the temperature of this because this is where it really pushes the CPU here. So up to 92% utilization. And then now we will see our final score here for 3DMARK Time Spy. So 23,388 with a graphics score of 33,495 and CPU score of 15,320. Alright, so following this, we will test out Port Royal, and we'll see what the score it gets for the next benchmark. And just to compare some earlier benchmarks here at Time Spy, when I had the RTX 4090, which is the Asus Strix model, and 7950X 3D CPU, I scored 29,439. So I'm pretty close with Time Spy today with this RTX 5080. and Ryzen 900X 3D CPU. All right, so next we'll get to Port Royal, then we'll also compare benchmark scores. Stay tuned. Okay, now we're loading up the Port Royal benchmark with the same overclock settings for the GPU. So once we get loaded here, I'll show you the clock speeds, and we'll set the temperatures fluctuate. Now this is more of a GPU only test. It doesn't test the CPU, so this is going to mostly rely. I know it definitely relies a lot on the memory clock speed, because I guess this really does scale well with memory overclocks. But currently we're sitting at 3200 megahertz, pulling about 361 watts. Fan is chilling at 35%, and the Ryzen 7 900X 3D CPU seems to be chilling at 47 degrees Celsius. And again, the card, dead silent, no noise, no coil line. Fans are more than reasonable in regards to noise. And then once we progress further in this benchmark, we'll see what the actual score will be. But it looks like we're maintaining around 3200 megahertz and chilling at 56 degrees Celsius. I've never seen this card reach over 60 degrees Celsius. It's always been like between 55 and 58. Never seen it hit 60. So very well managed cooling system, and I'm very impressed overall. All right, well, stay tuned for the end of the benchmark score, and we'll see what we get. Okay, just reached the end of the benchmark, and we'll see what we got for our score here. And like I said, there's only a GPU testing benchmark. So 23,965, 110.95 FPS. And so that's where that sits. So I'm going to compare my score when I had my 4090, and we'll see what we get here. So I must say, my 4090 does seem to be a lot stronger in Port Royal. When I had the Strix 4090, I got a 28,305 score at Port Royal. And today with the Ryzen 900X 3D and RTX 3080, sitting at 22,965. So doesn't meet the 4090 for that benchmark. So guess you can't have everything you want, right? All right. So next, stay tuned. We will be testing out Steel Nomad, and then following that we'll do Speedway benchmark. All right, loading up the Steel Nomad benchmark. And here's the GPU statistics. GPU sitting at 3210 megahertz, pulling, wow, pretty good wattage, or 380 watts. Ryzen is just chilling there. I'm guessing it's more of a GPU oriented benchmark, since the Ryzen is not really being utilized that much. 58 degrees Celsius, even under 393 watts. Fan chilling at 43%. So as we progress further in the benchmark, we will see what the final score will be, so stay tuned. And again, the card is just chilling. No noticeable coil line or anything, just dead silent, very quiet. Alright, so that was a pretty quick benchmark. Let's see what we got for our score here. So 9,355, 93.56 FPS, and that shows that for Steel Nomad. Very good. So next we'll test out the Speedway benchmark. Alright, loading up the Speedway graphics test. GPU sitting at 3210 megahertz, pulling 357 watts. $9800X 3D CPU just chilling along, because this is more of a graphics benchmark, so it's not really going to be utilized that much. And again, the card is dead silent, no noticeable noise. Fans are just how they were before with all the other previous benchmarks. Very reasonable. Alright, so we'll see what the end of the test gets us to. Stay tuned. Oh, well that was quick. I didn't realize how quick that benchmark was. Makes sense at Speedway, right? Okay, so 9,542 with 95.43 FPS. Let me compare my result online here. And do I have any Speedway benchmarks? Okay, so when I had the 4090 and i9 1400KS, I got 10,960. So with the 5080, we're at 9,542. So pretty close. Not too bad. Overall, that's pretty decent, I'd say. So there you have it. There's the benchmarks of my MSI Surprim RTX 5080 graphics card. Overall, very solid graphics card. Very nice cooler. Same cooler as on the 5090. So overall, pretty satisfied with the cooling performance and overclock potential. Not too bad. Anyways, guys, that wraps up that video. If you did enjoy the video, do give this video a like. If you want to see more content like this, more RTX 5080 benchmark gaming videos, feel free to subscribe. Following this video, we'll be testing out Alan Wake 2, and we'll be testing out the Lighthouse expansion. And stay tuned for that video. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.